And followers as well. Yesterday was actually a pretty crazy day for followers. We got over 50. So we are, well, we're 900 followers away from 9,000. So onwards we roll as we get into game number 1 of our first best of 3 of the day, guys. Let's introduce some players. To the bottom right hand side is going to be from Team Envious. Our red Zerg player, it is viOLet. Did we tweet? Yes, I did tweet. Perfect. Forgot about that one. Alright, perfect. And up to the top left hand side of the map, going to be our blue Terran player from Dust Gaming. It's Apocalypse. As we enter this TVZ on Frozen Temple, map 1 of this best of 3. Wait to see how this is going to go and see what these guys are going to get up to early on in the game. Going to be a Rex gas opening from Apocalypse, nothing too strange there. Probably just heading in towards some kind of Reaper expansion to begin the game. And we'll just kind of roll on from that point forth. And from viOLet, well, he's actually going to open with a pool first. And to be fair, here on Frozen Temple, that's something we see fairly commonly because, well, I mean, yeah, how do I want to say this? Like, well, basically, 3-Rack Reaper, right? I mean, 3-Rack Reaper is so good on this map because of the ledges. And we see Terran players doing it quite frequently. So, 3-Rack Reaper is something you got to be a bit careful of. And that's something which viOLet's just going to kind of counter immediately by going for a pool first. Well, not counter, but give himself an easier time against, should it come up, as we have that gas on the way up. Hatchery started, and overall, from both players, looking as though it's going to be a very standard, simple game to start things off. That being said, the pool first is also very good on this map for getting early lings out, because there's so many ways you can send your lings around the map that you're very likely to avoid that first Reaper. And actually, I'd be very surprised if, well, Apocalypse is going to send his Reaper across the map, and one of the good things for him in this scenario is that the fact that this is a short rush distance. So he's going to get over here, see the natural hatchery isn't finished yet. Or is he? I mean, he might actually just be finishing. Oh, if he gets here and sees it's not finished, he's going to know. I guess he'll know by the creep spread that it's only just finished. Yeah, he should know that that's only just finished right now. So he should know that this is a pool first, and maybe that he should already be bringing kind of a, you know, his Reaper back home to kind of defend. He's going to see the Queen now. Maybe he didn't pick up on the hatchery before. Now he's going to pull his Reaper back, but these Lings already over here. Bunker going down. This Marine is being chased as well. That's going to go down. And that Bunker's actually going to go all the way down. As one Zergling dies, but the Marine does fall. Cancel on the Bunker, and, well, the Reaper will come back to clean up the Lings before they kill the CC. This is a good delay from viOLet and really kind of helps him out, considering he went for this pool first opening, which doesn't really put you too far behind in economy or anything. It just puts you into a bit of a weirdest... it's just nice. I mean, if you can do this, you always benefit from doing it, obviously, so nothing bad about that. As we see a third CC coming down here, so Apocalypse setting up into a very kind of economic-focused opening, while as you see viOLet also putting down a third hatchery, so both players going up to 3 bases rather quickly. Now, this is something which is, of course, very standard for the Zerg player. However, a third CC this quick from a Terran is actually very greedy and is maybe something we can see being punished by viOLet if he identifies this. That being said, viOLet's overlords, well, he's got one over here, he's got one over there, but he doesn't have anything on this right-hand side, so it's actually very unlikely that he's going to come in and scout this third base. And that means that he won't really have the information to just say, ah, you know what, I'm going to be kind of all in into you and just try and break you and see what happens. See, 16 things on the way, so actually viOLet feeling as though he can break this front rather easily. I was going to see the Reaper just popping up here from Apocalypse. Seeing that third hatchery, just continue to scout with this, but as these Zerglings come out with speed finishing. Okay, there's a tank here now. I was going to say, I mean, maybe if they can surround that bunker with only a couple of Marines in it, well, there's some good potential there, but with a tank out, probably not. That being said, he could also just keep them out on the map, ready to run by whenever his opponent does move out. And that could be very, you know, that could be very, positive. You could have some very positive outcomes as well. As you see these Zerglings just moving over the left-hand side. Roach Roaring and Alair is on the way down from viOLet. As we see double engineering base coming in from Apocalypse. So really does not get any greedier than this. I mean, obviously, okay, he's building tanks, but something like a Ling Bane Burst, where, you know, because there's no medevacs, even kind of a Ravager push would kind of just end this game, because the tanks aren't going to be able to evacuate. The tanks are just going to be sat here. They're sitting ducks. They're just going to go down immediately. So, you know, we'll just see kind of viOLet running in. He sees them 2 tanks out, as we see Apocalypse trying to get one of them tanks up on the high ground again. That's not quite where he wanted to siege that. He wanted to siege it up here, but it is blocked off by these buildings. So we do see a scan coming into the main base. Sees the lair has finished. It's just going to be roach speed from viOLet. We don't see an Evo chamber for him just yet. But I'm sure he'll get into one of those sometime soon, as he just sets up to kind of go into his roaches for the mid game. And probably just play a Roach Ravager based style for some time here. Lings just side over to the left. We're going to see some Lings taking the watchtower to the right hand side. This Reaper will probably have to hop down here. Actually, there's a Reaper and a Marine, so maybe they can fight this. Bit of a weird place, a weirdly positioned grenade, but is able to survive, keeps hold of this watchtower. So the central pathway watched by both players currently. These few Zerglings which still remain, just poking around, seeing what's up, seeing what's happening. They're going to see the third base and also see that there's some tanks over there. A couple of Lings going down due to that. As we see the creep spread, starting to push up the right hand side, starting to push through the middle and the left as well. So creep all over the place. viOLet does want to get a creep 202 down this direction as well. I mean, he's got an Overlord here for vision right now. But this sort of area is important to creep up also because one of the main locations we'll see the Terran pushing into. Well, it depends where viOLet takes his fourth base. He could take his fourth base here, in which case he already got creep there. But if he takes it down here, he's going to need that creep to stop the Terran's push from this angle. Or even just to stop the push from this angle and then up the ramp into the third base. And he is starting to do that. Instead of sending both creep tumors up here, he sends one of them down in this direction instead. So creep continuing to come down from viOLet. We're going to see one Ling versus one Reaper. And well, it is going to be the Reaper that wins that fight. As Apocalypse himself set up onto 3 bases. As we see viOLet without any further drones, he's just building a lot of Lings, a lot of Roaches and Ravagers now. And he's just going to go for an attack. So he's going to go into Evo Chambers behind this, but he's going to go for a very aggressive Roach Ravager timing here to begin with. And we're going to see these Roaches and Ravagers moving forwards. And, well, Marines getting caught out on the map. Zerglings coming from the backside, and that means that they're going to be able to surround, and their Marines aren't able to get away. And now this is very awkward as viOLet comes in here. Well, there is now Medivacs to help out these tanks, but already they're being lifted, they're being brought away, and 2 of them going down. That third one as well falls, and Apocalypse has just lost too much already, it seems, because he's losing everything on his third base. The bunker will fall here. Love the corrosive bar position in their position to stop the workers from coming in and repairing it. We've got a few of these units still just working away on the reactor from the right hand side, but the rest going to be working in the front. Corrosive bars on the ramp, and this should be viOLet pushing through to victory here in game number 1. An upgradeless attack with Roach Ravager, and then he was going to switch into Lingbane Muta. So a very interesting switch coming in from viOLet. Of course, we won't see that coming into kind of one gas 3cc builds being used than there has been for a long time. So it's interesting to see kind of the metagame shift like this. And again, I just feel it's because we're seeing less Roach Ravager timings, which is the one thing which was really stopping you from doing this as a Terran player. So see less of those, and again, more Muta Lingbane play styles. In general, kind of TVZ and Legacy of the Void is once again just reverting back to good old Muta Lingbane versus BioMine. It's kind of crazy how this matchup always seems to find its way back to its roots. As we have to the bottom left hand side of the map from Envious, our red Zerg player, it is viOLet. Down to the bottom right, our blue Terran player from Dusk Gaming, it's going to be Apocalypse. Down 1 game in this best of 3 round of 16 match of today's Douyu Star Masters. The 12th Douyu Star Masters now, actually. We've actually casted every single one as well, which is nice, as I just finish my tea before it gets too cold. So yeah, our 12th Douyu Star Masters, we've seen some really fun, cool games from this. I mean, we've seen a lot of good players taking part. It's been fun. It's been really fun, actually. It's been a lot of it's been good times. I've been enjoying it, and hope you guys have been enjoying the coverage of this as well. Obviously, we will look to continue into the future. Douyu Star Masters 13 on Friday, the monthly finals day 2 tomorrow. I can't remember exactly who's in there. I think Scarlet's in, Ayasonu, Reality, Solar, Bly, True, and then a couple of guys I've forgotten about, unfortunately. Let me try and search it and remind you guys on who is going to be playing tomorrow. There you go, Douyu Cup. Comes up straight away on Wikipedia, perfect. Always a convenience when you're trying to search something on your phone. So yes, so tomorrow in the Douyu Star Masters, Bly versus Solar, True versus Reality, and then down in the losers bracket we have Scarlet versus Ayasonu, and Symbol versus Gumiho. So Symbol and Gumiho are the 2 players I forgot there initially. So yeah, lots of Zerg, a few Terrans. It should be some. It should be fun, actually, and that's going to be the monthly finals of the Douyu Star Masters number 1, and looking forward to it. Leifeng Cup starts this week as well, and that's going to be starting on Thursday, which is tomorrow as well. And that's got some really sick players, but again, we're not sure if we can do an English cast of that just yet, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I'm going to keep on bugging, but it's just because they don't want to. We kind of discussed this last week where they don't want to let you. They don't want an English stream because of the players' requests. So we'll see if we can do it. I mean, it kind of overlaps a lot with the Douyu Star Masters, but at the same time, well, okay. I mean, it overlaps a lot, but it's also kind of like, how do I want to say it? Like, it overlaps a lot, but there's also some days where the Douyu Star Masters isn't on and the Leifing Cup would be. So it would be nice. As you see this Reaper coming in, just going to take the watchtower here in the middle of the map. And we're going to see a lair on the way up from viOLet. Going to see a few more drones being added on, and that Zergling speed just about to finish. So very fast lair this time around, and this is probably going to be some very fast Mutalisk play. So this is the sort of thing where one gas free CC becomes very, very good, because now you kind of, what you do is you get your third CC up, you can defend the Mutalisks with turrets, and then you're kind of, nothing really kills your, damages your economy, and they can't do any kind of big timing attack to punish that third CC at all, or to kind of catch you just before your production kicks in. So this is the sort of build from viOLet where Apocalypse would have liked to do the build which he did in the last game. Instead, he's going into Hellion Banshee. We'll see how many Hellions he actually makes. Right now, he is just going to lift and move around. So just 4 Hellions and Cloak Banshees on the way up. But unfortunately for Apocalypse, obviously the kind of Spire play is going to shut this down very easily. Now, it's not going to be immediately ready, but it is going to be ready somewhat soon here. As you see these Hellions trying to make their way through into the mineral line, and 3 of them will make it there, so roasting will begin, but good control so far, and really viOLet just doing a great job of minimizing the damage he takes from this. Zergling's going to wrap around, force them back in towards the mineral line, so the Queen can help out again, and everything will get cleaned up for very little lost. 3 drones lost, 9 Zerglings, very good cleanup considering there's 4 Hellions and a Reaper in the mineral line. Very solid defense by viOLet, who will counterattack now and just see if he can get anything done. This bunker a little bit misplaced. We'd rather have it 1 hex to the right, so another depot slots in here. And I think one, I don't know, maybe it's just an odd ramp actually. I haven't walled too many times myself on Ruins of Endian. But I guess it's 1, 2, I guess it's just weird. I still think it'd be better to have the bunker slightly different, positioned slightly differently. We'll see here over time how the rest of the wall gets set up. Again, I mean, okay, the first Banshee is in here, getting a bit of damage done. And Swordcrawler is up, and well, I mean, viOLet's got meters on the way out, so as the meters come out, this Banshee dies and doesn't have much kind of longevity in the game compared to how much it usually would. As you see, the second Banshee is also out, a bit too late to cancel that, and now going to go into Liberator. So, going to Liberator, starting up the turrets, third CC is on the way. And so, yeah, I mean, this is kind of the third, this kind of reinforces what we talked about before, where 3 CC is fairly standard, but it's much more standard to kind of go 3 CC off of, a starport and a second gas and some other units early, as then we're going to see the extra barracks coming down, and then extra barracks before engineering. Oh no, there is engineering base down. Still a little bit greedy on the upgrades, but it just helps you have a few more units out to help defend. As you're going to see right now, Apocalypse is just taking down his own rocks. Now the meters are coming across here. They're not going to chase that Banshee just yet. The other Banshee currently sat to the top left side of the map, not really doing much either. And some meters going to come to the mineral lines, but turrets are up, and so they'll still find a couple of locations, I'm sure, where they can get 1 or 2 SCVs. They get 1 already, and they'll work on this refinery, which is a bit of a weak spot. So a couple of SCVs going down, and just going to force the Marines over here. And of course, more than anything right now, viOLet is just going to be looking to distract the Terran player, keep the Terran player busy, while he sets up into the kind of next stage of his game, while he builds up his economy, gets his third base going, and just makes up for kind of how quickly he's teched in the early stages of the game. As Muir's just going to pull away over to the left-hand side. Banshee coming back in. Actually picked up 7 kills. I'm not sure whether these are all on drones. Looks like a lot of them have been. So actually killing off a lot more drones than you might have expected. And he actually gets 1 more there, and maybe 1 more still, as he does now fly away. And well, Muir's are still on this right-hand side of the map, so they're not going to be chasing that Banshee down just yet. So very effective Banshee, 12 kills despite the kind of opening here. You're going to see Muir's sitting in the turret and in the bunker range. They do pick up a siege tank, so Meter 4 siege tank is fairly effective, especially when you see the follow-up, which is coming in here from viOLet, which is going to be a big switch into roaches. So he's not really too, but I mean, obviously the Meters are nice to keep alive, and he wants to keep on harassing, especially when he's only got a low number. But killing off a siege tank is going to make it much harder for Apocalypse to defend the follow-up of this push. We're going to see this Banshee from the top left coming back in, or yeah, it is this Banshee, right? So this Banshee coming in from the top left, and he gets a few more kills, and viOLet continuing to lose workers right now. Overall, 17 workers killed by Apocalypse, so the harassment has been fairly effective. It's been somewhat decent as these Meters are flying around without an Overseer. The Overseer is on its way, but a little bit too slow to catch up, as you still see the second Banshee out as well, which is actually back at home, ready to be repaired up. +2/+2 can start as well from Apocalypse, as his armor is ready, so upgrades will be able to continue. This is Banshee just going to hide away right in the top left corner. And viOLet's mute. Let's just kind of see if they can spot that, but we'll give up on the cause. Now, I think we just saw a drop-in overload being made, but maybe I'm just imagining things. Stuff. There they are. So drop-in overloads are here from viOLet, and we'll see what that's going to become for him as we see maybe just roach drops in towards the main base. Let's be careful. Liberators are up, and so if them overloads fly into the wrong location, they will start to go down very quickly. And as you see all these roaches gathering together, 1-1 about finish for viOLet. So he's kind of going for this kind of timing window where he's just got his 1-1 finished, and so trying to hit before 2-2 of the Terran player in this scenario, and just kind of hitting just as these upgrades finish and while his roaches begin to mass up. However, I don't really feel he's got enough. I feel as though the drones which he's lost, like there's 20 workers or so, has set him quite far back. And while he's been set quite far back, we've also seen, Apocalypse not really being set back at all from the Mutas. So we're going to see these roaches dropping in now behind this army, but there's just so much bio here. Liberators here as well. Mutas will fly in to help, but too much bio, I think, and this is the thing. The Mutas just didn't get enough done, and the Banshee did get enough done, and that should be GG. Apocalypse 6 game number 2. We're going to our third game in our first best of 3 of the day here. Our players. So to the bottom left hand side from Envious is going to be our red Zerg. Let's hear it, guys, if you're cheering on viOLet. And his opponent to the upper right, the blue Terran player from Dust Gaming. It is Apocalypse. As we head into this TVZ third game, let's see what these players are going to go for. Again, that last game. So, game number 1, viOLet hits a Roach Ravager timing, which just catches Apocalypse unprepared. In game 2, he goes Mutas, which kind of Apocalypse deals with very easily. They don't really get a lot of damage. And at the same time, the Banshees pick up 17 worker kills, which really slows viOLet down when he switches into Roaches behind it. And so, when you go kind of Mutas into Roaches like that, you're really reliant on kind of momentum. And if you're reliant on momentum, losing drones and not doing anything against your opponent doesn't give you the momentum. So, the way Roaches work before Ravagers come up is that Roaches are very good if they just overwhelm the opponent in numbers. Right? It's very easy to overwhelm your opponent in numbers just because of the fact that Roaches are somewhat cheap. So, it's kind of one of them things where you want to just kind of overwhelm, but if you've been losing drones and your opponent's not being kind of put back at all, you're not going to have that overwhelming factor with your Roaches, and so when when the fight happens, the Terran player is actually just going to have way too much, and then Roaches are going to just be completely useless. And I mean, I don't think viOLet even really killed anything there in that engagement at the end. His Mutas died instantly. I mean, maybe he killed a Marine or two, but it was very far from being any kind of even fight. As we can see, the CC dropping down in the natural expansion of Apocalypse here. And we'll see the Reaper on the way up from Apocalypse 2. So, Reaper on the way up. I'm going to see this Orbital Command Center just finishing morphing in. So, very standard builds from both players. Hatch Gas Pool against the Reaper expansion. And of course, what we're really looking for is kind of the follow-ups here more than anything. Does viOLet continue to mine gas past 100? Does Apocalypse go for that third CC again? I mean, this is one of the maps where if you want to go for a third CC super quickly, this is the best map to do it on. I mean, this is the macro map. This is the map where timings are not as easily you can't kind of hit timings as easily because there's a ramp up into the third base. It's the map where it's harder to move across the map without being spotted. It's a long rush distance. If you're happy to go free CC on Frozen Temple, I would have thought free CC here on Dusk Towers would have been on the cards as well. However, he's going to switch it up. Maybe just thinks that free CC build might not work against viOLet. And is going to add on that second gas once again. So, more, looking right now more to be like the second game than the first. And maybe we see that Cloak Banshee again, maybe he has something else. I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do as a Terran player off of this sort of opening, off of this kind of double gas starport dropping down. There's a lot of different ways in which you can harass and so on, like that. As we see, the factory going to lift, going to land onto the reactor here. Bag's going to lift and Tech Lab going to drop down as well. And this Apocalypse just going to set up. Looks as though, again, setting up in towards the Cloak Banshee play in the very near future. Marine's just going to patrol on the edge of this base. And you're going to see this Reaper just sitting tight, just waiting to see what's up. viOLet going to go back into... It's actually looking from both sides to be very similar to the last game. However, the main difference here from viOLet with this lair is it's not going to be muteless. So we see the road problem going down. And this is going to be a very fast Nidus network to try and kill his opponent. Now, one of the ways we could have maybe identified this a little bit faster would have been to see the fact that there's no Zergling speed coming down like there was last game. And that's generally kind of, Zergling speed kind of means mutas. No Zergling speed generally means roaches, and hence a Nidus if you see a lair coming up this quickly. As we see the 4 Hellions on the way out. Now the thing is, 4 Hellions is generally a little bit problematic when you're going for a Nidus network build, or going up against a Nidus network build, because the Hellions don't really do very much. You know, you're producing 4 Hellions, which against roaches just die. However, we do see Banshee on the way out. Now the Banshee won't help out too much either because of the fact there's going to be Queens to help defend, and there should be Queens in that. As nice grenade actually blocks these, pushes these Queens away. You're going to see the Apocalypse coming in here, does see the Nidus, does see the Roach Roaring too, and actually viOLet is taking a little bit of damage here to get started with, and that tank is on the way for him as well, so Apocalypse is going to get a lot of damage done, and I mean obviously viOLet was under pressure to get damage done already with this, but now he's under even more pressure as, well, where does he drop that Nidus, in the main base or the natural? You're going to see the tank coming in as well. But with a tank out, this makes it a lot harder. He's actually going to pop it right down here next to this 3rd CC. So if we're going to start going down, the Banshee going to come in as well. He needs to try and get over to that tank ASAP. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to hold on. I mean, it's still only 1 tank, a few Marines. He gets the Queens out. He's going to start transfusing that Nidus network. He's going to start fighting against this. The tank doing a lot of splash damage, and Roaches coming out, and a lot of Roaches already moving towards that tank here, which is important. However, he needs an Overseer in here. Without an Overseer, he will not kill off that Banshee. 2nd Banshee out. And while viOLet is doing a lot of damage, he does need a way to clean up these Banshees, otherwise he loses a lot of his potential. He's going to see another tank coming in. He needs to get some more reinforcements here, really. He needs to get a few more Roaches out and over into this, as we're going to see the Queens will try and push back the Banshees, of course, and they're coming in right now. The Overseer here to help, as the tank going down. It's getting very low, but is it enough DPS? It looks like the repair will be high enough. 1 Banshee goes down, but both Queens, or all 3 Queens will fall. A couple of Roaches run over towards the mineral line in the natural. And at this point, maybe viOLet's just done enough damage to sort of transition. It's not very often you see a player doing enough damage to transition out of this. But in this scenario, maybe he has, because he's up 12 workers, the 3rd CC was delayed, he killed off a tank and a Banshee so he can limit counterattacks very effectively, and he's going to go straight into Spire to follow this up. His own 3rd base is finished. Yeah, I think he's probably just about done enough damage. I mean, 26 workers killed is a lot. It's you know, it's definitely, it's not nothing. I feel as though he's definitely done enough to kind of follow up from this. And what he's going into, the Spire, is actually going to catch maybe Apocalypse a little bit off guard. The reason Nidus networks are so all in is because you literally throw everything at your opponent, right? You're on a fairly low drone count, you throw your Queens out, so generally if you lose everything, generally Nidus networks either kind of win because the Terran's completely underprepared, or they lose because the Terran is prepared. But that was a sort of weird mix of, you know, Apocalypse saw the kind of Nidus very late, but he was already going into tanks naturally, only a bit later than usual. You know, it wasn't straight away to tanks, it was 4 Hellions then tanks, so it's been a very weird mix there of him being prepared, sort of, and not actually prepared at the same time, as Queens need to stick next to each other, need to stick by each other in these tough times of Banshee harassment. But 6 meters on the way up, so these Queens are going to be very safe very soon. These Banshees are going to go down, and, well, it's going to be Apocalypse on the defensive. As you see him trailing by 11 workers, and Overseer on the way in here just to make sure you can help out against these Banshees and get away from them when the meters pop, which will just be in a moment or two. Nidus network taking some damage here as that Overseer comes in. And there's their Mutas. Then Banshee's going to be pretty much just dead here. They're going to be chased down. Yeah, the Mutas will be able to catch them. So trying to split up the Banshees, but not effective. So Banshee's fall, and of course that's nice. And this is one of the good things about this follow-up from viOLet, because he shuts down the counter-aggression. And so Banshees at any point in the game are going to be very good at kind of just finding a couple of drones here, a couple of drones there. And that sort of damage can add up to keep Apocalypse in this. But by shutting that down immediately, he runs into a position now where he can get a little bit of damage done around, and he's going to be able to kind of, obviously with the tank production coming in to protect from Roaches, then tank's not going to be super useful either. As you see a Mutiling Bane follow up, the Bane Nest is on the way down, the Ling Speed is on the way up, and our viOLet just heading into what is becoming a very standard sort of Zerg setup here for the mid game in TVZ in Legacy of the Void, which is just going to be Mutiling Bane off the back of Roaches or something along those lines. So it's become a very dynamic matchup in the sense that there's a lot of different builds you can go for and different compositions now. And there's a lot of different ways to go into Mutiling Bane as well. You can go Roaches into Mutas, or you can go Mutas into Roaches. Obviously that's not Mutiling Bane, but just an example of how the matchup's become a lot more diverse recently. And a lot of different things have been sort of happening in the matchup to kind of just make it a little bit more interesting since Heart of the Swarm. I mean, Heart of the Swarm was, until the mech era, Heart of the Swarm was basically Mutiling Bane every single game, or Roach Bane all in, or something like that, you know. There was still some variety, but it was a lot more stagnant, I feel, than the kind of TVZ we see now, which has so many different viable openings for both the Terran player and the Zerg. 2-2 on the way up for Apocalypse. Something, of course, he does have an advantage in is going to be those upgrades, because obviously if you commit into a Nidus network very early, then Aspire straight away afterwards, you're not quite going to be able to afford anything other than, you're not going to be able to afford anything other than all of that. You're already using so much gas, so expecting to get into upgrades while doing all of that is a little bit unrealistic. We've died. Oh. Hello? My PC just completely froze up. That's very weird. As you're going to see, well, Apocalypse is coming across here. These Banelings coming in. We'll have to get a little bit of damage done there. There's 1-1 upgrades coming in. That was very, very weird. My computer just completely froze up. My XSplit too. I think, yeah, the stream will die for a second because of it. Okay, that was a little bit weird. We're just coming and clean up another Banshee. Stream, are you alive? That is very strange. Okay, the stream is back. Alright, so we're going to see some Zerglings just running on over to the right hand side. You can see some Zerglings, some Marines just moving around here looking to deny some crew spread, etc. Obviously, sorry for the little lag spike there, guys. Just, weird moment where my XSplit and my StarCraft just seemed to freeze up together. So, unfortunately, did lag the game a little bit. It was a bit of a weird one. As we see, Marines just moving away a little bit. Ooh, we're going to see some Banelings moving on forwards here, but they're not going to catch any of these Marines. There's a little bit of an ineffective trade by viOLet. As we're going to see these Marines just moving over to the right-hand side. Going to find these Zerglings set to run by. This is such a common thing nowadays, and it's like every single Zerg player does this. Just sending the Zerglings over to the right-hand side here, sitting on this base, ready to come in. You see viOLet actually dropping quite low in the minute count here, unless you split them up to kind of go deal with something else. I don't know where the rest of them are. There they are, coming in here now to help clean up this drop. As he will clean up, so push this back. Same time, big push from Apocalypse, been a bit out of position. Don't think it was meant to be hiding in this corner. He's actually going to load up and go and drop. As you're going to see this medevac to the top side going to be cleaned up. And we're just going to see viOLet continue to move around, and we'll have to continue to deflect these drops. There's a little bit of an upgrade lead currently for Apocalypse. We see these Wooden Mines getting taken down before they can go off, which is important, because you're going to see this Zergling run by, getting set to come on in, and again, I like this. I mean, a lot of Zergs have been doing it right. I need to get out of this game. If I keep lagging like that, I really need to get out, because I don't know what's going on, and I don't know what's happening. As you see, at the same time, these Zerglings are doing a little bit of damage here. Wouldn't mind going to catch a few of them on their exit. The Zerglings, Banelings going to be coming through the center, and these meters just overhead as well at the same time. viOLet doing a good job continuing to clean up right now. And we're just going to see the 5th base on the way up to the top left as well. So viOLet just continuing to expand, continuing to set up, continuing to deflect these drops currently. And as you see, these meters just joining up together in the center. Hive on the way from viOLet. He's beginning his late game transition in towards those ultras, of course, very late in this game because of the different phases we've seen. We've seen the Nidus, then the mutas, and then kind of transition into kind of what is kind of a big commitment to kind of just macro-based play. So it's very late Hive compared to what you might usually see, but at the same time, obviously the Terran's being set back as well. One thing the Siren hasn't been set back on, though, is his upgrades. I mean, he's got 3-3, going to be going up against a 2-2 Bling Bling Muta Zerg player. So this is very good for the Terran player, in fact, and this is something which the Zerg player, well, the Terran player is going to love for the next few minutes here. And this is what viOLet, this is actually the perfect response from viOLet as these upgrades kick in. As long as you can keep on defending drops, if he can harass with these mutas and do damage and keep the Terran player pinned back, and buy himself the time to kind of not have to go for a straight up engagement until he's ready with ultras and so on, then viOLet's going to be in a fantastic position. He's doing a very good job of it so far, continuing to move around the map with these mutalisks. So he's been doing a very good job of this so far, coming back in here, try and cancel that turret once again, and get for another SCV or two. There's a couple more meters. His Ultra Cavern is ready to go down whenever he wants it. He's only walking in with some Banelings up this ramp, but he runs into a whole bunch of bio. Not effective there, as you're going to see the Planting Fortress up too. This entire run by being shut down very easily, but again, viOLet is keeping Apocalypse on his own side of the map, and as long as Apocalypse is over here, he's not down to the bottom left, abusing his upgrade advantage. You're going to see Mutas coming back in towards this main, but turrets up, being repaired, double turret as well. There's enough as we see Ling is moving over to the right hand side once again. Still no Ultra Cavern. viOLet's sort of making his own life difficult, because the longer he goes without this Ultra Cavern, the longer he is sat just on this kind of mid-tier tech. But another run by, and this time it looks as though it's going to be very effective. As he runs on up here, he's actually going to get in towards the main and the natural. He's going to see the Widowmine there not really doing too much. Cleans up a few Zerglings there in the end. Big push in towards the 4th base though, and viOLet really not ready to deal with this. At the same time, drop in the natural is dealt with and cleaned up as Banelings roll on in. So a lot of the 4th base goes down, but a lot of the Marines and Marauders over here fall. And the Mutas are going to be hot on the tail of those Medivacs possibly. And looking to chase those down. Still some Zerglings around in the main base. A Ghost goes down. And we see the Medivacs will make it away, but in the end, I think overall, viOLet is the one who comes out of this with a little bit of an advantage, considering the fact that he lost a 4th base, sure, but he cleaned up so much of his opponent's army, and also had economy damage coming in from his opponent too. And I mean, Apocalypse is down to 40 workers against 70, and viOLet has this base he can mine from as well. His 5th base already set up, so it's not ideal, but it is going to be acting as a replacement for his 4th base here for some time. I was going to see these Mutas coming on in, and well, there might just be too much here for viOLet, and that means that Apocalypse might just be in a bit of trouble. He's going to try and do something with this Ghost Marine and whatever, but there's so many Mutas. He's going to run up into a Widowmine, but there's just so much, and when there's so many Mutas like this, what you generally see is that the Zerg can sort of just camp the production to some extent. He's actually just going to play it safe, pull away, and well, just kind of control an area which doesn't have missile turrets around it. Some Zerglings here working through the mineral line, and we're going to see the Mutas just coming in and see what they can achieve. And again, there's just so few Marines right now, and that is the real problem. Obviously, lots of Medivacs to support what there is, but, well, Ultra Cavern is now done, and we're going to see Chitinous Plating starting up, and eventually here we're just going to see viOLet sort of ending up in a position where he's going to be very, very safe. He's going to be very safe, he's going to be set up into his late game, and he's denied enough economy to really make it difficult for Apocalypse to get into his own late game. You know, there's really not enough for Apocalypse here at all to go in towards his own late game scenario. You know, he doesn't have the money to make Liberates. He doesn't have the money to really invest in Ghosts, or not in high enough numbers to realistically fight against the economy viOLet still has. 70 workers spread across 4 or 5 bases. We're going to see another couple of extractors coming in on this 5th base. Mutas are going to continue to fly around here. Look to see what's up. Going to go and hit that command center, stop it from moving over into position. We're going to see what a couple of Overseers coming in as well, just to help out for any Widowmines which might be littered around the bases. viOLet's creep spread has been pushed back quite a lot during this game. That's one thing Apocalypse did do a very good job of earlier. Unfortunately, it didn't really do much sort of change things at all here over the course of the game, I guess. As we see Apocalypse just pulling back a little bit. Lots of Marine Marauder Medivac here, which he has to just take care of. We're approaching 20 minutes in this game, and viOLet definitely in a clear advantage. And especially as these Ultras come up, we'll see a few Ghosts coming out, but again, 4 Ghosts isn't enough to take on. I mean, how many Ultras are out? 6? 4 Ghosts? Even if they have 2 snipes each, that's only 8 snipes. That's 2 dead Ultralisks and 1 nearly dead Ultralisk. That doesn't even kill half the Ultras on the map currently. So that is problematic, as we see these Mutas continuing to look around, and even if they if they come in and find themselves a Ghost kill, well, that'd be huge. He needs to be careful of those Widowmines over there. And yeah, he will come in and find himself a Ghost. The snipe goes down, but I mean, again, he's just picking off all these Ghosts, and that makes the transition into Ultras even more powerful. And as viOLet just going into a great spy here. Pathfinder Clans too wants to get those Infestors set up, just making sure he has the best possible army for going up against this late game Terran setup. As he's going to start getting ready to come across the map and attack here. Drop to the top side from Apocalypse. Something which viOLet might sort of notice because of the fact that he sees a couple of sort of stray Marines. You're going to see a Baneling drop heading in towards this 4th base, which will be interesting to see how much damage that gets done. And I was going to go somewhere differently. Okay, it is going to go 4th base just around the long side. He's going to run into 2 turrets and the Widowmine. So that's nice. We'll keep an eye on that on the mini-map as we see viOLet positioning to come deny the 5th. And we're going to see how effective this can be. You're going to see the Baneling starting to drop off over here. Not really a lot of damage done. And viOLet now going to run on in towards this 5th base as well, which is very, very, very unprotected right now. The Planetary Force isn't quite ready. Here we go. The Bio Army going to start coming in here. That one single Ghost is not really going to do enough. Doesn't even begin to try and snipe. And there are a couple more Ghosts going to go down before they can snipe as well. Apocalypse just retreating here, but retreating for what purpose? A single Liberator Siege is up there. Computers will take care of that very easily as Ultras continue to move on forwards, and they're just going to be able to take down the rest of this bio, and that right there should be game. And viOLet will be moving on into the round of 8 of today's Douyu Star Masters GG viOLet takes what is our first series of the day here on the stream. What a great series to kick off the day.